Alright guys, welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. Today we're going to be looking at my first NFL mock draft for the 2022 draft coming up here in late April. We have a lot to dissect between now. We're in mid-January and the draft isn't until late April, so there's a lot that's going to happen. So take this with a grain of salt. I did a few mocks during the college football regular season, but now we're kind of getting to the thick of things with the Senior Bowl and the Combine coming up. And then, a good 80% of our draft order is pretty much set. So kicking things off, the Jaguars, they could go many different avenues with this pick. Right now, edge rusher seems like the most ideal. They could go with Neal or Ikem Ekwonu. Right now, I think Aiden Hutchinson seems to be the pick. He's a premier playmaker off the edge. Violent hands, great quickness. He was just so good. He was a Heisman runner-up this past season. He was just so good. A natural pass rusher. And he should have a great career in the NFL. If it's not him, then it'll be Kayvon Thibodeaux. These guys are pretty much set in stone. I think they go 1 and 2, even though the Jags could go tackle, of course. Thibodeaux, though, relentless rusher off the edge, possesses elite size and length. Really like what he brings to the table in those categories. Trey Flowers, he hasn't exactly panned out. I don't think really at all. And, he's likely on his way out. Remember, he signed when Matt Patricia was there. I think Dan Campbell and his regime are ready to probably move on. He's getting paid a lot of money. And regardless if he stays or not, Lions the pass rush needs a makeover. Kayvon Thibodeaux would be a great start. They have 2 first-rounders, of course. Number 3, Evan Neal to the Texans. Laramie Tunsil, he's been pretty quiet since the start of the season, only played in 4 games, had that thumb injury. He doesn't really seem keen on coming back to play for the Texans. Even if he does, though, I think they still probably I think they should probably try to trade him or something. He's getting paid a lot of money. Doesn't seem like he's a part of the future right now. Titus Howard played pretty well in his absence as well. But Neal, generational talent. They still like to shore up their tackle position. We'll see what happens, though. Neal, he's massive. 6'5", 350. Absurd athletic profile for being that big. Probably the most polished lineman when it comes to, a combo of run and pass blocking. So Evan Neal to the Texans seems to be a pick right now, but they could also go defense. They really need talent, just like the 3 teams above them. They all need talent. Best available seems the best way to go. Number 4, Derek Stingley to the Jets. They went offense with their first 4 picks of last year's draft. Robert Saleh, he's going to want to look to get some fresh talent on his defense now. With at least one of their 2 picks here in the top 10, I think Derek Stingley here, he hasn't played much over the last 2 years. When he plays, though, he's an elite athlete, top-notch ball skills, sticky in man coverage, far and away the top corner on the board. I think the Jets would love to get him in that green uniform. They're the team they share the stadium with in the Giants right after. Ikem Ekwonu, they really need to beef up their offensive line. They could use some help on defense too, but their offensive line, it's the biggest need for them right now. Has been for the last couple years. Ekwonu, a lot of people are thinking he might go number 1, potentially top 3. His potential is ridiculous. He's an insane run blocker. He just dominates people with his power and his aggression. Needs to work some bit as a pass blocker, but he's got the athletic profile and the attitude to become great in that regard as well. Seems like a really good pick, Ikem Ekwonu. Right after that, the Panthers. A lot of people seem to be going elsewhere in the mock drafts, like a QB or a Kyle Hamilton. They need to address this offensive line big time. It was not good at all this year. I feel like their quarterback situation is really not that bad, but no one had any time to make any plays at all. That's why the play from the quarterback position was very shaky. Cross, he's the polar opposite of Ekwonu. He's really good as a run blocker. Cross, high-end pass protector. Limited experience against the run, though. A step back compared to the other 2 tackles above him. But, again, he's garnered plenty of work against the pass. There's plenty of tape in that regard, like 1,100 pass blocking reps, I think, over the last 2 seasons or something like that. It's because of the offense he plays in the air raid. Also competes in the SEC. Really good athlete. Like his strength. Charles Cross will probably go higher than people think, but the Panthers need help on the offensive line. They would love to see Neal or Ekwonu fall. That'd be ideal for them, but Charles Cross, I think, is the pick. They need to address the offensive line. Number 7, the Giants. 2 picks inside the top 7. I think they got to go quarterback here. This is just Daniel Jones is not the issue. The Giants could go offensive line once again, even attend to the defense a bit. But John Mara and the Giants, they need to make a splash here. I think they need to pull the trigger. Take a good look at their quarterbacks they have. It's just not good. Daniel Jones has not really panned out. And they have pretty good talent at the skilled positions. Just need to beef up the offensive line a bit. Fix whatever issues are going on at quarterback. think Corral can do that. He's a little reckless with the cannon he has as an arm. He makes up for it, though, tremendously. He rips it into tight windows very well. Uses a tight spiral to get it downfield in a hurry. And, Corral progressed tremendously this past season with his decision-making. He has the ability to, read opposing defenses now. Not as great still. He's still developing in that regard, but starting last year, he had 11 interceptions in 2 games. He's progressed tremendously. He's also a great runner as well. He needs to learn to protect himself a good bit. But again, the talent they have at the skilled positions, if they can get a quarterback like Corral, they could instantly jump into the top half of scoring offense this upcoming season. Very interesting and big draft for the Giants. They could really turn things around here. Number 8, you look at Kyle Hamilton. The Falcons, their defense as a whole really needs a lot of talent. Matt Ryan miraculously led them to 7 wins. They really need to focus on the defense here. The safety play last year from the Falcons was not good at all. And, Hamilton, he's probably the best player in the draft. Positional value drops him a bit. Elite center fielder, great size, high-end football IQ. Hamilton does kind of lack the speed, but, he makes up for it everywhere else. This would be a good pick. Number 9, Kenny Pickett to the Broncos. Pickett shined big time his senior season. Solidifies himself as a first-round pick now. The offense is pretty locked up for the foreseeable future. They got the receivers all locked in. Javonte Williams is the future, of course. Solid offensive line, but the lack of quality QB play, it's not gonna. That's the biggest reason they're being held back in the AFC West. And Pickett throws with great velocity, ball placement, lofting an impressive deep ball as well most of the time. Pickett's a really good player. Be a good fit here with Denver. Everyone else in the division has a young quarterback, so if they don't address this position, then they're just never going to win the division. It's as simple as that. They really need to get the best they can out of this position. Number 10, looking at the Jets. I just mentioned how they went 4 picks in a row last year on offense to start the draft. Well, they should use both of these here on defense. They can also beef up the O-line. Defense, though, I think is the biggest key for them. Robert Saleh. George Karlaftis, high-end athlete, possesses a high motor. He can play on every single down. He's also pretty versatile. He's also a hard worker. So if they move him to like an outside linebacking role or something off ball, he has some deficiencies in his game there. He's going to work hard. He's going to correct that. I think George Karlaftis would be a good pick for Robert Saleh and the Jets. Looking at number 11, Washington. They need to upgrade at quarterback. I really like Tyler Heinicke, but this isn't the ideal situation for him with this football team. They need a guy who's a franchise changer, and Heinicke's not that. Howell, though, highly accurate, puts nice touch on his deep balls, nice wide base when throwing. Howell's, pocket awareness could use some development. He only steps up in the pocket when he's looking to run his seams. He's also really good at running, too, though, so there's a lot of good guys that are dual threat. Most of them are. All the guys on these quarterback lists really are nowadays with their skill sets. Sam Howell to Washington would seem like a really good fit for them. Number 12, the Vikings. For some reason, they decided to clear house. Regardless, they need to upgrade their defense. Ahmad Gardner would be a good pick. Great ball skills. A terrific man press corner over the past few years at Cincinnati. He's aggressive. I like the instincts he possesses. They need Patrick Peterson. He's probably entering his final year, I'd say. Final year or 2. They really need to get things going in terms of adding some youth to the secondary. So Ahmad Gardner to the Vikings. Jameson Williams, the receivers here, it's an absolutely loaded class here in this first round. You have a lot of them that can go anywhere. So the receivers, take those with a good grain of salt, because it could be, some of these teams will likely draft a receiver, but it could be a different player. I do think the Browns, though, Jameson Williams would be a good fit. Coming off that torn ACL, it's hard to think a guy with an injury like that would go 13th, but I think he's going to have a full recovery, should be good to go. Would be a great addition in the slot. Williams is a burner, runs 4.2, 4.3 speed. He's going to give defenses a headache wherever he's at, trying to cover him underneath vertically. Just a complete headache. So I think this would be a good pick for the Browns. I think you get a burner in the slot. But regardless, they need to get a receiver, give Baker Mayfield some more help. This style of offense obviously is not great for him. He hasn't played well. But if they can get some more talent, maybe they can start to bring more on a Baker. The Vikings, I think the Ravens, picking David Ojabo here. I think this would be great. They need to upgrade at a few positions, but I think considering guys like Calais Campbell, Justin Houston are near the end of their careers, and Ojabo, a guy who has a high ceiling but limited experience, this would be great. Elite get-off for Ojabo, insane burst. He wraps up very well in the backfield. Very raw prospect. They wouldn't need him to come in and shine right away, and he could learn behind those veterans who are likely coming to the end of their careers. This would be a great pairing, I think, Ojabo to the Ravens with Harbaugh and crew. From one Harbaugh to another, that is, too. The Eagles, they just made the playoffs, and they have 3 picks in the top 19, 15, 16, 19. They could really change their entire franchise for the good here with these picks. I think the first one to go with Andrew Booth. They're going to shore up things, give Darius Slay a dance partner. This is an athletic freak, good ball skills. He's not the most polished product, but Andrew Booth, I think he's a very solid player with some refining of his technique. And some of the deficiencies in his game I'm not too worried about. So if they can run a guy like Booth, get him in there and develop a bit, they can have a nice little cornerback duo for the future. Right after that, defensive line, DeMarvin Leal. This is a versatile guy. Play inside, can play out. If he commits to developing, because that's been his really biggest concern, is he doesn't give 100%. Doesn't seem like he plays with a lot of heart, but he has a lot of very impressive traits. Great strength, very impressive athlete. As an interior rusher, he's really good. Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox, they're older. I think Graham's even a free agent, so they got to do something on this defensive line. Improving with a versatile guy like that would make them very happy. Looking at linebacker, Nakobe Dean going to the Chargers. They could also go Jordan Davis here, but they got to do something about this run defense. It was not good last year. Nakobe Dean, though, he was the top run stopper in college football a season ago. Tad undersized, but he has the smarts, the speed to cover in man coverage, makes plays as a sideline defender. Upper body strength as well helps him clean up. This would be an A-plus pick for the Chargers. Here at 18, the Saints, I really think you're going to see a run on receiver starting with pick number 18 towards the end of the first round. Garrett Wilson, I think, is the pick. They got to do something about their receivers. Regardless if Michael Thomas comes back or not, still a concern. They don't have a lot of talent at the skilled positions, it seems. And you really seen it this year on offense. It really costed them, it seemed. Wilson, an athletic freak, great leaping ability, quick first step. He can win off the line. Him and Thomas could easily, the 2 former Ohio State Buckeyes could really shake things up in the NFL as a duo. If it's not Wilson, it's got to be somebody else at receiver. They got to do something about that position big time, especially with Thomas's future being in question. Looking at the Eagles, again here at 19, I have them going defense once more. I do think they could probably themselves add a receiver, maybe shore up the interior of their line with Tyler Linderbaum. But I think for the most part, going 3 straight picks on defense is a pretty good move, Devin Lloyd is just as good as Nakobe Dean, has the skills to play outside linebacker as well. Tracks the ball carrier down very well off the edge, makes plays in coverage. Lloyd's do-it-all linebacker. Had the opportunity to meet him in Vegas at the Pac-12 title game right after his big performance. So, very good guy, good player. He's going to do wonders in the NFL. Moving to number 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Malik Willis. Mike Tomlin indicated that his next quarterback, he wants him to be mobile, and Malik Willis fits the bill to a T. He's an elite runner, great vision. The balance he has is he's also got a pretty strong arm to complement that as a passer. His fundamentals aren't great. He needs to cut down on the turnovers. He tries to force big plays, which leads to turnovers on the ground and through the air. So with some development, his ceiling is pretty high, probably even higher than Lamar Jackson's maybe. A guy who has a similar skill set and in the same division. Malik Willis to the Steelers would be a really good pickup. They got to go quarterback or potentially interior offensive line or some help on the defense to help shore up that terrible run defense. So I think quarterback, that would be a great start in this draft for the Steelers. Looking at 21, the Patriots. They could go multiple different avenues themselves. I think Chris Olave, though, shore things up a receiver. They got guys like Nelson Aguilar, a lot of older guys. And the N'Keal Harry experiment has clearly failed. He's still there for some reason. It was a lost cause. New England should try to get it right again here in 2022. Olave, he isn't a burner, doesn't have the same athletic traits as his teammate Wilson, but he's fundamentally sound as they come. Great hands, crisp route runner, concentration's there. He's an all-around playmaker you can count on, and I think the Patriots and Belichick would love to have a hard worker like that in their building at pass catcher. Drake London here to the Raiders. This has always been a big concern for them, is not having great pass catchers. Even before the unfortunate Henry Ruggs tragedy, they did not. This was still a big need for them. They didn't really have a lot of great, reliable options at receiver. Drake London could certainly go higher, and depending on who wants to take who, a lot of people think he could probably potentially go into the top 15. I agree. London is great. He's a jump ball artist, can win any 50-50 balls, high points the ball well. His size is just tremendous. He's not a speedster after the catch, but he makes his mark with his aggressiveness. He was the toughest pass catcher to bring down in college football last year. He just works really hard after the catch. Arm tackles do not bring him down. He fights hard. That's probably his best trait. This guy is going to be a star wherever he ends up. The Raiders, I do think, will get him at 22. He probably is the top receiver in this draft, though, but again, depending on fit, who scouts who, could likely fall towards the back half of the round. He's also coming off a broken ankle as well. Looking at the Cardinals, another team that can really do a lot here. Kiara Elam, I think, shoring up this opposite corner position of Byron Murphy. His former teammate Marco Wilson at Florida, he was pretty solid this season, but they still need to draft a guy that can play with aggressiveness, showcase their ball skills, nice athletic profile too on Elam. Cardinals could go a few different ways. I think that'd be a good pick for them, though. Number 24, the Cowboys, off yet another devastating playoff loss. Jaquan Brisker, I think this would be an A-plus pick for them. They've made some really good additions on defense. Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, Neville Gallimore, some guys like that. They still need safety help, though. Brisker be a really good fit. High IQ player, really good against the run. Holds up well against the pass because, he has impressive awareness. A very physical tackler, too. This unit would continue to get even better. The future is really bright, and adding Brisker would be just a phenomenal fit, I think, in my eyes. Number 25, the Bengals. It's hard to see Tyler Linderbaum, a top 10 talent, fall this far. My positional value at center is not great. I don't think we've had a center go 18th or higher in many years. And I think that could change this year for sure. But right now, in the first mock, I see him fall into 25. Dominant run blocker, anchors well in pass protection. A little undersized at 290. Needs to add some weight and some strength, but the raw skill set he has can be a mainstay in any team's offensive line. The Bengals, though, they need to address the trenches in this draft, get some depth at defensive tackle, and of course, beef up this offensive line that's probably the worst in the NFL. Joe Burrow really needs some help. Looking to the Dolphins next, Treylon Burks. This is a guy kind of like Drake London in terms of size, 6'3", 225. Helps him win money battles on the outside. Strong hands, makes it even tougher for opposing DBs. The Dolphins got a good rookie season out of Jalen Waddle, but alone he's not going to be able to cut it. And he's a slot guy. Put Burks on the outside, and you're starting to really get some talent at receiver. Continue to invest in Tua because they've made a lot of draft picks on the offensive line. Those guys certainly need to start developing. Burks, he's not a great route runner, but that's the one part of his game that could really improve. Once he does, he could really be a multi-time Pro Bowler. This guy is a stud. Treylon Burks for years has been a really good pass catcher for the Hogs. Jordan Davis, I think he'd go to the Chargers, maybe even the Steelers or the Bills. That seems like the most likely destination. The Bills here. If he's available, that's going to be the most obvious pick of the draft. Their interior defensive line isn't great. Davis, limited upside as a pass rusher. Won't be an every down player, but he clogs gaps better than any defensive tackle in the draft, I think. He's massive. He's a great run defender as well. Strong hands, lives in the backfield, has a run stopper. Jordan Davis would be a really good fix. The Bills, they would not need him to be a game changer, but more of like just a filler on defense that can create other big plays, or create plays for other players on the team, like from linebacker. They can come up and make good plays when he's a run stopper. So you've seen him with Nakobe Dean. He was able to shine with this guy up front in front of him making plays. So Davis would be a great fit for the Bills. Detroit Lions, they really need to go best available here, probably because they just need to keep adding talent. But John Dotson, receiver, still a big need. Amon-Ra St. Brown had that breakout year. But other than that, it's really kind of shaky at receiver. Dotson, great vertical threat. He bailed Penn State out so many times in his career. He's not great in the open field, but getting open is truly the biggest asset from a pass catcher in this league. His hesitation moves, the fluid route running. He's a good pick for anybody. I think the Lions would be very thrilled with him here. Receiver, a big need. They could really go anywhere. This is a toss-up for the Lions, especially with a lot that's certainly unexpected going to happen in front of them. So that pick, I think, for the Lions will be very interesting. They could even go a quarterback and shock people. So number 29, the Chiefs. Daxton Hill, I just took a safety a few picks before for the Cowboys. I thought it would be A+. I think this one would be as well. The Chiefs, they could use an upgrade at deep safety. This is really a luxury pick. They could go a receiver if someone they like is there. But I think adding a safety here would be good. Blazing fast speedsters. Hill provides plenty of awareness and zone. Seems like an ideal pairing. I think Daxton Hill to the Chiefs would be nice. Looking at the Buccaneers, another team with just a luxury pick. They can do whatever they want. Kenyon Green, I think if he's still available, they'd love to take him. They don't really their offensive line on the interior is not really a concern by any means, but, Green, kind of a project player, He could be a plug-and-play early in his career and until it's time for him to shine, continue to work on some of his deficiencies like being a pass blocker. He has great strength, impressive athletic abilities, very well as a run blocker. But again, technique, being a pass blocker, really needs to develop that. I think this would be a good fit for them. He wouldn't be an immediate impact player, though, so it's hard to see Kenyon Green falling out of the first round. So I think a team like the Bucs would be happy to have him on the roster. Looking at the Titans, secondary, it's not very good. Trent McDuffie would really fill a big hole. No better way to do it here than add an elite athlete, but can also play with fire and energy in the run game. That'd be a Mike Vrabel type of guy. That'd be a really good pick, I think, from the Titans. But secondary, it seems most likely for them, potentially the offensive line. And then rounding things out, Trevor Penning going to the Packers. Green Bay, they could do a lot here because we don't know what's going to happen with them. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? Is Aaron Rodgers back? Is Devontae Adams coming back? We are not sure. So there's a lot to sort out with them, but Penning, long arms, he explodes out of his stance. Good athlete. He needs to refine his technique a bit. Of course, he played at the FCS level, but that's not really a concern whatsoever. Penning, I think, would be a solid pickup. Tackle, though, is still a big need for the Packers. If Aaron Rodgers and Adams come back, I do think they'll probably take a complimentary pass catcher. But we'll see what happens with them. But Trevor Penning is the pick now. Let's wrap everything up for today's episode, guys. Leave your thoughts below. Comment, like, subscribe. Who do you think is probably a really good underrated pick? Who do you want your team to draft if you are a fan of any NFL teams? Appreciate the support. See you next time.